Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host Boston. I'm your host Boston. Excuse me. John, I'm joined as always by Musum.
Hello.
Quick plug here: patreon.com/e1m1. If I could learn how to speak, we could struggle this whole episode today. I bet. You can get the $5 a month, the recommended tier, all the early access, behind the scenes, cool exclusive stuff. All that stuff is really great over there. Patreon.com/e1m1. Musum, let's get into the good stuff. What have you been playing
Yeah.
this past month?
So I've really only played two games, so I will start out the one that will be quickest to talk about,
Okay.
which is CyberPunk 2077.
Ooh.
Um, Had a friend play through the DLC recently, and it just made me want to replay the DLC. And I turned it on, and the character I'd started was a Corpo. And he was at the very beginning of the game, and you can't play the DLC until basically the end of the game. So I kind of just ran a mission or two and called it.
Okay.
Let's see, I guess I could tell you about the missions I did. So um, it loaded up and it looked like I was hired by a monk to save his brother. A gang had abducted this monk and were planning on putting a bunch of cybernetics in him, which were against these monks'
Hmm.
beliefs or whatnot. So I went in there, and since I was a corpo, I was like, I put a lot of effort into not murdering everyone normally, so I'm just not going to worry about that. And I clearly built this guy like on his strength stat, which is
Hmm.
weird for me. So
Right.
that's what I did. And
Okay.
it's just as well because when I get to the DLC, there's one option that creates kind of a longer ending to the game, but it's also like super depressing. So I figure my corpo is just going to be a bad person, and
Oh, okay.
I'm going to explore as many of those decisions as my soul can take, which is very limited. I'm not one of these people who can just like playing Renegade on Mass Effect is just it's trying for me. I have a
I'm always
very
like, oh, I'm
difficult
such a
time.
jerk. Oh, that person's not bad. They're just annoying. Oh, this is so mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a few of those renegade options feel good, but like if you just wholeheartedly do all renegade options, you just feel like, or at least I do. Anyway,
Yeah.
um, but anyway, so I did that mission, and then I kind of just, there were a couple police, uh, what I forget what they're called, but like there's a little police symbol on the map, and you go there and you kill a bunch of guys or beat them up or something, and then
Oh, okay.
sometimes there's a thing you grab that you put in a drop thing to complete it, but it's kind of just a generic thing around the map, and seems like I ran another mission or two, but I still really like that game a lot. I think it's
Hmm.
gonna go in the John replays this every year or two type pile.
Right. Ooh, another build to try out. Here we go.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
mean, now that everything's in it and it's as stable as it is, like it's a really easy recommend.
Hmm.
I think like a parent like you may have difficulty finding time to play it, but
Yeah.
I suspect you would enjoy the game.
Yeah. I've been always been meaning to. I think I own a copy of it. I think I bought one of those copies. Best Buy was like, okay, here's nobody's selling this thing. We're selling it for about 10, $15. I
Mm,
was like, oh, I'm going to buy this thing physically. This thing was a dumpster fire. And then, CD Projekt Red turned it around eventually after that. I've been meaning to play it ever since, I think since the Phantom Liberty stuff came out and people were like, okay, it's in a good enough state here. If you wanted to hop into it, now is probably the time for you to get in. And it seems like it has stayed stable since then. So,
yeah, I
yeah.
I think there is like if you got the PS4 copy, I think there's like a $10 upgrade fee or something for
Oh,
PS5.
that's right. Yeah.
And because the Phantom Liberty is basically at the end of the game, you could play like the first, I don't know, 5 or 10 hours before deciding if you're going to commit to the game or not.
Oh,
And
okay.
then if you are, spend the money on Phantom Liberty because Phantom
Hmm.
Liberty, I'm sure you've heard me and others say it, it's better than the base game.
Yeah.
But again, you aren't going to really get to it till the end. And I feel like it doesn't add features in the city It just adds a new
Okay.
section to the city, but you can't access that new section until again the end. But
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
so the other game I've been playing, which I'm sure you have too, is Metaphor ReFantazio.
Yes. I played probably about an hour and a half of the demo. Um, what are you playing this on?
PS5.
Okay, I played that on PS5 as well. I stopped after about an hour and a half, and I said, I'm just gonna buy this. I know I can carry my save over, but like I was playing it in the day, like a day or two before the full game came out, and I was like, I'm just gonna buy this. Like, I'm just gonna, I'm not. If you want my short review, the demo really great. Not even like less than halfway through the demo, because the demo's supposed to be like 5 or so hours. I was like, I'm just gonna buy this. Just gonna,
I,
just gonna pull
I
the
mean,
trigger.
the short sales pitch of this is, hey, uh, do you like Persona, and how would you feel about it if they did a job system instead of summons?
Right, and
Like,
it's like a fantasy
yeah,
fantasy setting. Um,
and it's another thing that immediately hit me. Like the bad guy is this guy named Lord Louis,
hmm
and Lord Louis looks exactly like Griffith or Griffin. I always forget his name from
Griffith, yeah,
Berserk. Like I'm expecting like a bayonet to like be
yeah,
around his neck at some
exactly.
point. Like
Yep,
and like the opening. So gosh, I know it just came out yesterday, but like the second you turn on the game, the king dies.
yeah,
Um, and it is very apparent. Like this is minor spoiler for the very start of the game
like literally
before
three
you
minutes into the game.
like when I bought the purchase copy, it was just a cut scene on the start screen. Like I
Yep,
didn't even press start to see it. So I don't consider this a spoiler. If you do, fast forward 15 seconds. But
yeah,
um, it opens and the king has been stabbed many times by Lord Louis,
hmm
who is after the throne, which is a very Griffith Berserk
yes.
thing. But it continues on, and your character is a oh, I can never remember the name of what your
I
character is.
yeah, I can't remember the race of the. It's a seemingly it starts with an E, and I don't remember what it is, but like
Yeah,
it's like everybody's like, oh, I can't believe there's one of you here.
yeah.
I can't believe that they let you in the city. This is bad luck. And like one of the things that I found really interesting about this game is it's going to very clearly deal with themes of like fantasy racism, and it's usually like, oh, the humans are so different from the elves. The elves are clearly the like unclean or the evil ones or whatever. Um, I like the twist here that you find out in, I don't know, maybe like the first half hour of the demo slash the beginning of the game, when you get introduced to the humans, that they're just these SMT style, horribly mutated, like completely destroyed monsters, and it's like, oh,
Yes.
all right, that's pretty fun. I like that.
Yeah. Like they're almost they don't look anything like Titans from Attack from Titan, but that's kind of how they feel like in a lot of
Mm,
their execution of the game. Like
right.
it seems like they show up and most people die and everyone's really freaked out about them, but they look like, bosses from a Persona game or
Yeah,
a
exactly. Yeah,
SMT game.
yeah. And like,
And you're
go ahead.
well, I was about to change back to the character races, but did you have
Mhm.
something else you want on the humans?
Well, I was gonna say that you mentioned Persona here, and I there's been an interesting pushback because reviews are coming out for this game, and they're all glowing. I mean, if it's not 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10, it's pretty close to that, almost across the board. Um, and one thing that I have been a little bit surprised by is Atlas. Ever since this was announced years and years and years ago, was basically like the Persona people, like the directors of the Persona games, are making a fantasy RPG that takes inspiration from those games. Like they were very clear about the development lineage, the inspiration, what they were trying to go for. And now that these reviews have come out, everybody across the board is saying, honestly the thing that's pretty appealing, which is this is a Persona game, and they've kind of like removed some stuff here. They've added some stuff. Like, we'll talk about the job system here in a little bit, but like, there's they've largely removed the kind of like spending time after school stuff. But you have a calendar and you have a day cycle and you like a day night cycle. You have a you need to do this thing in X number of days, that sort of thing. And I've been kind of surprised at the pushback from people. They're like, you don't have to compare every Atlas game to Persona. It's like, no, you don't. But this this is a Persona game, man. Like, this is you like
Yeah.
in the first boss battle, you like summon your persona. And it's like a suit of armor that comes over your body, and you can cast magic. Like, it's your persona. Like,
So like the moment that happens,
mm-hmm.
like, and this is so far true for all of the characters, you rip out your own heart.
Oh, it's cool as hell, man. It's
Like the
super
first
great.
time. Persona 5, it was I'm going to rip off this mask off my face, which also tears the skin off. And
Right.
I'm not going to recall what Persona 3 and 4. I guess Persona 3 was
Three
just
was the
shooting yourself in the
evoker.
head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Four was
What did you
facing
do in
your true
4?
self. You had your like
Oh,
shadow
yeah.
person. I think that's the
Yeah.
only. Because I think after three, they're like, we should probably pump the brakes on this for a minute.
Yeah. So, well, either way, like just even, I feel like we're talking about music genres to a degree. Like,
Mm,
quit gatekeeping the genre. We're trying to use shorthand to describe a game to you.
exactly.
Like,
And also,
and
like a bajillion people played and loved Persona 5 and 4 and 3, but like 5 was a runaway hit. So if you want to say, hey, you liked that thing, Persona 6 is super far away. Why don't
yeah,
you try another Atlas RPG? Like, it's like that thing, but just with some extra stuff.
and and honestly, I didn't realize how badly I wanted a Persona game
Mm-hmm.
in a completely different setting.
Yeah.
Like, and because this feels like such a breath air. Like, so your social stats, like everything's kind of based around you winning the crown. And I'm not to a point in the game where it is evident that I'm going to be a main contender for that. They've just
Mm.
been advertising it, that way. And I'm like 10 hours in or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Um, I just beat the first. How do I say this? I beat the second human. We'll say that.
Oh, okay.
Um, and I literally did that a couple minutes before this podcast, and it's on
Mm.
pause on the start screen. But um, I just completely lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, persona comparisons. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's so the social stats are all things like eloquence and tolerance,
Oh,
and
okay.
I don't remember the other three, but like you raise them by this guy's Mustafari race. They have a third eye and they wear these boxes or bags or whatever over
Mm.
their head. Um, and there's one that hangs outside the inn that you sleep in. And if you talk to him and pass time with him, then your tolerance goes up because you learn more about his culture.
Oh, okay.
Like there's a bunch of different tribes in the world that all have different kind of features. They're all humanoid, but like on the screen here, Stroll has horns,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a whole race thing with him, and he's a noble, and some races are looked down on, like the Mustafari, for
Right.
instance. And then you eventually get I don't think they call her an elf, but she has the giant pointy ears, so
Yeah.
she's kind of an elf to me. And you have a fairy following you around, and your character is just a normal human guy. He just happens to have different colored eyeballs.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Very much looks like a Persona kind of SMT character.
yeah.
Almost like a. It almost reminds me of some characters from Fire Emblem. Like it kind of
Oh yeah.
veers a little bit more towards the Fire Emblem side than a lot of the other characters do.
Yeah. Like I think I've heard there's no romance in this, so like
Mm.
I've not gotten a lot of chances to like try to up my party guys, social stats, but the Igor equivalent in the game,
Mm-hmm.
I've increased his stat, and it enabled something in the what was it?
I was like
Like it's interesting.
the guy that
Hmm?
wrote the book. Like that's where I ended the demo, which is like, hello, I'm the person that wrote this fantasy novel that's clearly like, hey, humans living in New York City. This is all demo stuff, so don't worry about spoilers. Um, but like, I ended the demo where it's like, oh hi, I'm the dude that wrote the book. Anyways, job system. I was like, oh boy,
Yeah,
okay, sure,
yeah.
wow,
The guy who hangs out in academia.
yes. Oh man, that's a cool. And his name is, what is his name? Like Moore
It
or something like that.
yes, that's it. It is more. It's more.
He's like, oh, hello, my name is Moore, and I was like, are you sure? Is that is that is that short for something?
He's got a cat, and
Yes, he does.
the cat appears in dungeons.
Oh, that's really good.
It's like a your way of one of your ways of accessing more in the dungeons.
Oh, that's cool.
Man, this game is like it's so there's so many things I want to talk about, and I know I'm just gonna forget like half of the stuff I want to talk about. Like they've
Yeah.
everything about it has like recontextualizing Persona in this kind of fantasy medieval setting while you're trying to become king is such it's just a massive breath of fresh air. I love that I'm not
Hmm.
going to school. I love that there's all these weird racial politics in the world that you're of a race that all of the tribes hate. Like
Yeah.
everyone thinks you're bad luck, and a lot of places won't serve you. And even if they do, they're going to comment on your race.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I love.
And
Mhm.
what's interesting too is I'm surprised at the number of people online that have said like, I have really wanted to play Persona, but I've been turned off by it because of the school setting. Like that doesn't do anything for me, which
Mhm.
is understandable because those games lean very heavily on that. They're way more interested in metaphor because it doesn't feature any of that stuff. And I was kind of surprised about that, and I thought, man, that's probably a great choice for them to make what is clearly a Persona game, but completely different. I don't want to say more mature setting, but it feels very different from the Persona games that are heavily high school focused.
Yeah, you're playing young adults.
Yeah,
Like you actually, for a minute, have an old dude in your party, which was
yeah.
like, wow, I really am playing a different one. And I love the Persona high school setting.
Oh,
Don't
for
get me
sure.
wrong. I've just played five of those games,
Right.
and then add in, all the spin-off stuff that I've played somewhere between played half of to beat. Um, so it's just cool seeing something else. And another thing that is appealing to me in this more than likely 100-hour RPG
Right.
is like, and maybe they introduce a new screen of it later, but like the screen that has all the classes on it, like there's probably like 30 or 40 at most.
Oh
Like
wow. Okay.
there's not 200 personas to sift through,
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah,
like
because it even feels very different from the SMT games, or the SMT games are
yeah.
they're always very post-apocalyptic, kind of end of the world, humans struggling and scrambling and scraping by, and featuring and focusing on the summons. And it's interesting to see them make a game that's very similar to all their other stuff, but feel kind of thematically very different.
Yeah. Like, and I didn't, it never occurred to me, like, in a way, like, I would actually even argue that Persona is kind of a job system game, but I would not have
Mm,
argued that before this game.
right.
Um, but also, oh my gosh, the job system in this is freaking cool.
Oh yeah.
Um, every character can buy every job.
Oh nice.
Um, every job has inherent skill slots that you can spend a currency to bring in skills from other jobs.
Ooh
Um,
nice. That's a
and
favorite.
all you got to do is buy a job, and you immediately get access to like its first level skill to inherit. Um,
Oh, okay. Okay, so there's no
so
like initial in like skill point or BP investment or whatever to kind of get to use the job.
you don't have to spend experience,
Okay.
but they have a currency called Magla. and
Mhm.
you earn that through fights. And most of the time, if you're like me, you'll have a few thousand magla.
Right.
Um, but like, gosh, but like Magla, like getting a skill, most of the skills are like 500 to 1,000,
Mhm.
and a couple of like the passive skills are like really expensive, like 5 or 6,000,
Mm.
and you only unlock that skill for that specific class when you spend that money.
Oh, okay. Sure.
But that said, like an example of how this benefited me, one of the bosses was weak against, I want to say, fire. Um, and I only had one character who had unlocked the fire stuff, right?
Mhm.
So I went in and unlocked the mage class for my other two characters, and then every so often you pick up like I can't remember, it's called like a hero's token or hero journey or something, and it gives like 500 experience or something to a given class. So when you first unlock the Magla class, or no, it was ice. I need to get ice because the first level or I'm using my words wrong. The first level mage spell you get is fire, and the second one you get is ice.
Oh, okay.
So I unlocked that class for both characters, so they immediately had access to inherit the fire skill on their other stuff if I wanted to buy it.
Mhm.
And then I raised them both up a level with that item, and then I got access to the ice skill. So then everyone had ice, and then I went into this battle and could hit
Ah.
all the weaknesses I needed to.
Oh, okay.
It's like there's a lot of like at the probably the first 4 or 5 hours, like there's probably not much to encourage you to switch classes, but I think very much the rhythm of this game past that point is you encounter a boss. You kind of like if you can't pull through the battle, you at least figure out what they're weak to and what they're hitting you with,
Mhm.
and then you rearrange what character has what job and what skills they've inherited to deal with that.
Interesting.
Um, and I absolutely love it. It's weird to explain because it's so Persona-esque. It's hard to wrap my mind around how
Right.
actually different it is in a
Right.
lot of ways. In Persona, it was always you fuse some guys together and inherit skills, and this takes that out, takes the randomness out of the equation. It takes the you got to go to academia and do it. Like eventually, you get a button on your menu that'll just take you straight to the change job screen, but
Oh, okay.
that's kind of after where the demo ends. Um,
Mm.
but the other thing about the combat is like they took a lesson for Persona Strikers, in my opinion, in that you can, when you're wandering around the dungeon, you can one shot enemies that are lower level than you, and you
I
can dodge them.
I love more RPGs are doing this because when you're walking near enemies, you can hit like I think on PS5 it's like is it square to hit enemies in the field? I think.
I believe so, yeah.
And you can like bash them around a little bit, and they have like a stagger bar. If they stagger before you hop into them, you do a free attack and stuff like that. And I was wandering around the end of one dungeon before I dropped the demo, um, and I just wandered behind an enemy. It was like some sort of wolf, like a standard JRPG wolf, and slashed them. And it's like, yeah, here you go. It's just 2 experience. Move on. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
thank you. I don't want to like, I don't mind that in RPGs when you have to like get into the rhythm of like, all right, I'm gonna go attack this wolf. I'm gonna hit all of them. I'm gonna probably knock them all down and destroy them in the first turn. I'm gonna go through the reward screen, etc. But I really like when more RPGs are like, no man, like they're so weak, you just destroy them. It's like, yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
And like the first like real dungeon you get to, which is is it called the cathedral? You got to get to the city first, and then you'll get to the real dungeon. I'll put it that way.
Mm.
Because you do some dungeon stuff before then, that's cool, but it's not quite what I think the game is going to do the rest of the time.
Oh, okay.
Um, but you'll encounter like a lot of low level enemies, so it kind of is just, oh great, this will be an action game for a room where I'm going to knock out like 20 dudes while I'm
Right.
dodging. And on top of that, when you do find a guy, like you mentioned, the stagger bar, like most of them is you have to land 3 hits in a row.
Mm-hmm.
and you press triangle and you'll go to the turn-based battle. And if you successfully do that, then you will hit the entire enemy party and usually reduce their HP by about 50%.
Yeah,
Um,
it's a strong attack. It's not just like,
yeah,
oh, I hit them all for 5 and they have 300 HP. It's like, no, you're doing some good damage.
yeah. Like, and that can be the difference between winning and losing a lot of these battles because
Mm.
this falls on the more SMT side on difficulty. Like
Okay.
the first real dungeon I did, like in Persona, I would do that all in the same run, right? You'd go
Yeah.
in, you'd fight everyone, you'd get out. It took me 3 trips to get through this dungeon.
Oh wow. Okay.
Um, like in game, I think they only gave me like 8 or 10 days or something, like
Oh, okay.
before I could beat the dungeon. So I was very much like, oh, gotta go. I usually have a month of Persona.
Right.
Um,
Exactly.
but like your magic items, your magic refilling items, or SP, right? Um, they don't, like all SMT games, they're few and far between, and that
Right.
is a resource that you very much need. And a lot of the bosses are kind of HP sponges, so
Mm.
you have to be able to endure for a bit. I've also found I'm using like items a lot more in battle, like especially the oh crap, I can't figure out this guy's weakness. What items do I have? Okay, I have an item that'll do an electrical attack. Does that work?
Oh,
Um,
okay.
it's I'm using that stuff way more, and also like occasionally it's okay. 2 of my characters can hit the weakness, the third one can't. But luckily, I have like 3 of this elemental item in my inventory, so they can at
Mm.
least do something occasionally.
Yeah. And speaking of weaknesses, I've been surprised and impressed that they brought over basically the SMT press turn system in this
Yeah,
for weaknesses. It if you've played SMT games before, for anyone listening, it's a little bit different. You don't get in press turn. You usually get you hit a weakness, you get an extra turn. In this one, when you hit a weakness, it only takes half of your turn. Essentially, you have like action points on the top bar. If you hit with a weakness, it only takes half of that action point, so you can do 2 turns essentially, kind of back to back. So it's like 1% different from the press turn system, but it's different enough to be, I think, kind of interesting, while still the press turn system is one of the best things you can carry over from SMT. So I'm happy to see that they've carried it over into this.
yeah. It's still going strong. I don't know that I have anything to add to it. It does feel a little bit different, even though it's kind of it's exactly as you described it.
Hmm.
It's gosh, this game is so freaking good. Like um, everything seems kind of pretty big, and you feel like your characters are very much like not quite revolutionaries.
Hmm.
I won't kind of spoil the prologue like relationship between the main character and the whole uh kind of the king and the prince and all that, but um there's a story there,
Hmm.
and you very much feel like you're in it. Like when you go to the main map at the beginning, like you're like, well crap, can't go this way because all this
Hmm.
stuff's going to be in our way, so we got to take this back road and kind of hope we survive and sneak
Hmm.
in the back kind of thing.
I really like how
um
that map looks too. I
yeah.
think the design of that, and I like that you for the 2 times I've seen the map, there's multiple points on the map, and even where I left it was kind of I've gone through those couple of points to get around to the back of the city, um, and I like that there are multiple points that you can inspect essentially, and you can say, what's going on at this point. The game will give you a little bit of history. I actually really like so. This game takes inspiration from visual novels in a way that I wasn't expecting, and I actually kind of like. Um, there's a codex in the game called Memorandum, and it's essentially a codex you'd have in any of these games of like, here's what the magical collars are and how you cast magic, and here's what the city is and when it was founded and stuff like that. But the thing that I like that they take from visual novels is the first time you see a term or the name of a town or a race or something like that, it'll be in red text, and you can hit the button for memorandum, which I think is like R3 for most of the stuff, or sometimes like down on the D-pad. Um, and it will open the codex entry for that thing right away, and it'll take you directly there, which is like a common thing that visual novels do. And I appreciate that because even at the beginning of the demo, you're kind of in the thick of it
Yeah,
in this world, and it's not like, well, let me teach you about magic. It's like, nope, I don't have the time. You just got, you just joined the army. Let's get going. So
yeah,
I appreciate that it's uh, you can get the definition of the term you just heard right away.
yeah. There's definitely attention to this whole thing. I have not messed with the. I think I completely missed that feature. Honestly.
Well, it's something that they talk about the memorandum pretty early on, but I think you're kind of in the middle of something when they bring it up, and then I brought it up just because I play a lot of visual novels, and that's a common thing of like, this character is just throw out this anime term, and it's up to you to read the thing if you
Yeah,
don't know what it is. And I appreciate that this game is sort of you can just keep rolling if you want to just assume. Like a lot of times, it's gonna be like, oh, that's probably just another race of people in this world. I can figure that out. But sometimes it's like, yeah, how do you cast magic? Like, how does what's the big deal with these staves and the magic collars and stuff? How do those things work? And the game's like, let me
oh
tell you.
yeah. The igniters, that's what they're called.
Igniters. Yes, it's a very cool system of like you can't just cast magic. You have to have some sort
Yeah.
of magical item.
And they won't sell one to your character because they're racist.
That's right. That's right.
It's
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna be a crazy game, but man, it is. I'm super excited to play more. Like the dungeons
Yeah.
feel really good. Like it's not. Um, they are not so far, at least, as complex as like what was the SMT Fire Emblem game?
Oh,
Tokyo Mirage Sessions.
yeah.
Um, so that game had really complex dungeons because they were playing with the Wii controller
Hmm.
or the Wii U controller, sorry. Um, and it seems like this game might have a little bit of that, but I feel like they kind of cherry picked all the right pieces from all their side games to
Yeah.
include into this.
Yeah.
Like the dungeon was a lot of fun, and it has a lot of the same mechanics you've come to expect from like a Persona dungeon, where oh, we found a room to rest in, and you can teleport between those rooms, and
Right.
obviously you can come back later, which you will. Like I feel like I'm a veteran at these games, and it took me 3 tries, and you might be able to do it in 2 tries, but like the last battle in that dungeon is super freaking hard.
Mm.
And I was glad that I did that third one, even if it means I don't get to, go up a social stat.
Right.
Um, and so far, like the social stats haven't like I think I did one of them 3 times and I leveled up on it. Like so, the level 2 at least of the 5 that you can get on the social stats is not like it's a low hanging branch, thankfully.
Oh, okay. That's nice.
Um, But, like any Persona game, you're immediately greeted with, "Oh, this character won't even talk to you unless
Right.
your eloquence is 2 or something like that,
Right.
Um, I'm also really curious. I think the fairy's name is Galicia or something
Hmm.
like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
Galika. She like she shows up on your party member's screen, and she'll occasionally like offer to help you with something in a battle. Like it's
Hmm.
only happened say occasionally. That might be a strong word. It's happened twice
Oh, okay.
in the 10 hours I've played. And she has like a screen, and I figure she's going to fulfill um, the, I'm not going to
Oh
remember any
yeah,
of
you're like
the characters'
support
names.
party members,
Yeah,
like your Risei sort of
yeah,
like. I was like, hey, they're weak against ice. That sort of. Oh no, you
exactly.
got poisoned. It's like, yes, thank
Yeah.
you, Jesus.
I, I figured she is going to fulfill that. And there
Hmm.
is a bit of that. Like, one of the statuses is burn. Like, start the round and she'll go, "Oh no, someone's on fire. You need to do
Hmm.
something."
I can't believe you missed that attack. It's like, yeah, I'm upset about it too. I totally whiffed that. Yeah.
Uh, I, I'm just kind of curious if they're going to do more with her than that, because I feel like
Right.
she has more representation on your party screen than uh, you know, Rise or any of the others did.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's true.
but
Yeah,
uh,
I haven't picked
hmm,
this up yet. It just came out at time of recording. It just came out yesterday, so it's pretty fresh. But I'm gonna pick this up as soon as I actually start and make some progress on our game club episode because I have not done that, and I need to like
mm,
force myself to start that because I know if I start Metaphor, that's probably the only thing I will play for a good long time. Um, but I'm really looking forward to starting this. I'll probably start the game back over because I did virtually nothing in
yeah,
the game. But if anyone is curious, the demo's still out there. It is probably at least people are saying it's about 4 or 5 hours long. You get a handful of dungeons in there as well. You get a real good sampling of the game. It doesn't seem like there's really anything missing from the demo. It's just the first couple of hours of that game, and then carry your save over if you pick the game up by itself. So,
so like if you took Persona 5 as the example, where you have a
mm,
few hours of kind of dungeon and linear storytelling, and then at some point they set you loose where you can do your dailies.
mm-hmm.
Um, it basically is the entire intro and then the first 3 days of the game.
Wow, okay,
Um,
that's a lot.
like for me, it was longer than 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah,
Granted, I everything takes me longer in video games for whatever
mm-hmm.
reason, but I felt like it was more like 7 or 8 hours or something.
That's a lot. That's great.
Transferring the save was pretty easy, but oddly enough, like the demo ends after a certain like mid boss fight, and it made me redo that mid boss fight.
Oh,
Um,
weird. Okay,
and I don't know if I just missed the save prompt when I did the demo, but
right.
just word of warning.
Yeah, interesting.
Um, the demo also I feel like makes it easier to recommend because it's like, well, will you like the game? Well, play the demo, man. There's a
Here's a bunch of hours, and it's not just
yeah,
like it's not just oh we're gonna dump you in a mid game dungeon with a full party. It's like no, you just get to play from the beginning. You get to see all these cool cutscenes and go through the
yeah.
whole tutorial.
And like the last dungeon you reach that you can spend a decent amount of time in is the one I'm considering like your first like real dungeon.
Oh, okay.
Like everything before that one I kind of consider kind of prologue era type stuff.
It's
But
always like those little dungeons that you're on a path and you're going from one place to another. And oh, we need to go through a spooky forest. And it's like yeah, it's a couple of screens, but it's not
yeah,
really a dungeon. Yeah.
yeah. Like and that one was pretty well, man, you say that, and now I'm remembering it. Like that is a pretty decent, like long dungeon, um, but it's very linear, I think, in comparison
Right.
to the later one, and the later one is massive in
Mm-hmm.
comparison, which is it's kind of crazy. Like it's like if you took a Persona 5 dungeon and multiplied it by like four,
Oh wow. Okay.
like it is not small at all.
Right.
And I think, in Persona fashion, there's going to be like side quests that take you back there too, because there's one area I could not figure out for the life of me how to get to.
Okay.
So I figure that's coming. And like I already got a side quest that's supposed to take me out of town, and I almost did it, but it's like the enemies here are much harder than the ones in the dungeon you're in. I'm like, well, let's not do that
Yeah,
yet.
I'll do that in a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game seems really cool. I'm very excited to dive into it. This year has been really good for JRPGs, and I was hoping that this one was going to be good but not great, just so I could like work on my backlog a little bit. But seeing all these reviews come out from a lot of people and places that I sort of click with from an opinion standpoint, I was just like, okay, well, yeah, okay, I'll pick this up too. Sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I, I think my plan is I'm going to be playing this game until the next Life is Strange comes out
Yep.
in a couple weeks.
Yep.
Well, I mean, of course, our game club game.
Right.
and then I'm gonna beat Life is Strange because it's gonna be 12 hours and it'll be a nice like breather.
Yep.
And then I'll go back in and finish this, and then hope that the new Dragon Age game reviewed well.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Yeah.
but there, so that is all I've been playing.
Yeah.
How about you, Boston?
All right. Let me. Where's all this? Where's all this stuff? Okay. Um. Played a little bit of Destiny 2. Don't really want to talk about it. It's a brand new episode. I have a lot of feelings about it that I haven't really broken down yet. But so far it's fine, which is sort of neither here nor there. I do want to talk about though UFO 50. This is a game that came out this last month that is, if you haven't heard of it, Mossmouth, who's the company that Derek Yu, the Spelunky 1 and 2, one of the two Spelunky guys, that's their company. They put out a collection of 50 games that essentially they it's like a like the Atari 50 collection, like the Tetris collections coming out. You know, those are kind of celebrations of a catalog. UFO 50 is the celebration of a console that never was. So it's a collection of games that came up from, it's like 1982 to 1989, I think. So it's those kind of 10 years. Put out 3 consoles, the LX series of consoles from a company called UFO Soft, and they put out a ton, 50 games across all these different genres, and characters from one game show up in another one. Like it's this really interesting collection that was inspired by, when we were kids, they had those like 52 game action packs, and it's 52 kind of garbage games that showed up on one cartridge, and your aunt that you never see, well, I'm not going to get you the game that you wanted. This is 52 games for the same price. Like the value is so great. So they made a collection of games like that, except number one, they're all good. Some of them you might not like because they might not be in a genre you like. But they're 50 full-fledged, complete games. So some of them might be on the shorter side, but they're not mini games, which is a concern that I've seen some people out there, and I was still a little bit confused by it before it came out. But UFO 50 came out, I think it was only like $25. 50 games designed by, a bunch of them are designed by the guys that made Spelunky. There's a bunch designed by the guy that made Downwell. He worked on a bunch of them, and the game's been in development for so long that they eventually kind of started helping each other out and helping each other design each other's games. So it feels like all of these games are kind of cohesive in a really interesting way. There's a couple of RPGs in here, which is why I wanted to bring up UFO 50. So a lot of the games are, I shouldn't say a lot. Some of the games are shorter, some are arcade games, some are puzzle games, some are turn-based tactics games. There's even like a what is that game with the ants? It's like a real-time strategy ant game,
Like
where you're
Sim Ant?
it's sort of, but it's kind of only takes place on one screen.
Okay.
Combatants, that's the game's called, because it's combat ants. So there's a whole bunch of really cool stuff. But the 2 games I want to talk about, first up is Valbrace. It is a first-person dungeon crawler that looks and acts kind of exactly how you would expect it to. But when you get into a battle, it turns into essentially Punch-Out. So you are on a 2D plane, you're dodging and trying to defend against and hack and slash enemies that you run up to. So it's not like 3 or 4 people start slashing a bunch of slimes and everybody takes their turn. Like, you're running into enemies that are moving pretty on a plane right in front of you, and
I love it so much. Oh my
it's
gosh, this sounds good.
it's so cool. And if you haven't seen it, if you're watching the video version of it, I'm playing it over here to the right. It was so interesting because I've always wanted to play a first-person dungeon crawler like this, and I haven't gotten around to it, even though I'm fairly sure I'd like one of these. And I got so excited to play this game because I'm like, okay, great, I can get a like a bite-sized dungeon crawler like this, and I'll get my feet wet in the genre here. And then when you first get the battle system here, and it turns into essentially like dodging and rolling out of the way and raising your shield and slashing. You have a stamina meter. I was just like, all right, you kind of made something really cool here that takes this genre and kind of bucks expectations here in a way that I think is really interesting. Um, it is fairly challenging though, which I actually had to restart the game here because a lot of these games, even though they are classically inspired or kind of classically designed, they do have a lot of modern day trappings in them. So, for Valbraced, for example, every time you finish a level, it saves your progress. So you kind of only have to finish one level at a time, and you don't have to go through all however many dungeons are in this game all at once, which is great. Um, I when I played this the first time, I made it down to floor. You start at floor 0, 0, 1, and 2. I made it down to floor 2. I didn't realize I missed. There's a throne that you can sit on to level up your character's stats. I didn't realize there's one of those on every floor, so I missed
Mm.
the one on the first floor. I thought, okay, let me restart the game here, and I'm gonna go level up my character there, and then now that I've done that, I've learned a little bit more in the game, and I'm now on floor 2 a little bit stronger. Um, and one part about these games that I think is really interesting, uh, that I have, I'm starting to see it not really click with a bunch of people, understandably, is um, when you're in the sort of interface of this collection, it's just a grid of 50 essentially game cartridges. And as you're going through them, you pick a game for the first time, you kind of blow the dust off of them, and you'll start the game. If you, I'm using a PlayStation controller. If you hit square on the controller when you have the cartridge highlighted, it'll show you when the game was published, who worked on the game, the kind of like fictional staff behind the game. It'll give you a little blurb of like, hey, this is the biggest game that we worked on up to this point. It came out in like 1985, and all of our games were way smaller than this one up until this point. Um, and it'll give you just a short description of the controls, and that's really it. And you'll get some goals once you fire up the game for the first time. But one thing that I really like about these games is it really is encouraging you to discover these games rather than, here's a 50-page manual to flip through or whatever. I really like the game is just like, get in there, here's the basic controls. Like if you were renting a cartridge from Blockbuster and like a teenager had scribbled like A does jump, B does throw stuff, whatever, it doesn't matter. And it's really like you're in there to kind of discover and figure out how to play these games. So part of the joy for me has been, oh, all right, okay, you got to level up in this game. Okay, cool. All right, now that I know that, let me restart this game or let me kind of like do better the next time I go through. So I'm really enjoying this game quite a bit. It's nice to see how many of these games are so different and how many of these games are kind of taking inspiration from games we would love as a kid or we were playing when we were tweens and teens, but kind of putting an interesting spin on them. The other one that I've been playing that I'm really enjoying is called Grimstone. I keep wanting to call it Grindstone. This is very much your kind of standard JRPG. Some people are saying it's about 20 to 25 hours long. And number one, it's pretty difficult. You're supposed to grind in this game to a significant degree. This is there's one game called Pilot Quest. It's game number 45 in the collection. That is an idle progression game. That game progresses as you're playing other games. So this game is a really good counterpoint to Pilot Quest of like, all right, my little crew of people are doing their thing in Pilot Quest. I need to just check in later. I'll go grind a bunch here in Grimstone to kind of uh, not only play this game because it's fun by itself, but also to kind of progress what that game is doing. This game starts really interestingly, where you're caught in a fire that's sort of swallowing this tavern you're in, and you can only escape with 4 characters, and there are, I think there's 8 characters in the tavern, and whoever you escape with turns out to be your party. But you can't really figure out what the party members are going to do before you escape with them. So sort of like, I don't know, these people look cool. Let's just grab them. Let's go see what's going to happen. So I figured I basically got like the dual wielder, the strong person, the blue mage, and the healer. So I'm like, all right, I'm pretty happy with all of that. And then once you get into battle, it just turns into the timing based system from, oh my god, I'm gonna forget the name now that I'm talking about it. You remember the
Oh, this
PS Shadow Hearts?
yes.
It turns into Shadow Hearts essentially, but if the circle from Shadow Hearts was just a straight line, you have the white section of the bar is just going to be your miss. The sort of orangish color will be your normal hit, and then just past the orange is a little red patch. That's going to be your crit. And I no games do that. Like, it was really only the like what 3 Shadow Hearts games we got that did that. So it's really cool to see this kind of standard. It reminds me a lot of, earlier this year I was playing the first 3 Dragon Quest games. It really reminds me of those games where it's going to be tough as nails. You're going to have to do a lot of grinding. You're going to do a lot of, going around, sort of circling around this town to gain a bunch of money to buy one piece of equipment for one of your party members, and then you're a little bit stronger. It reminds me a lot of that. And so far, it's really, really cool. I was talking about UFO 50 for the last couple of weeks on TVGP, and one of the things I'm kind of struggling with here is I like UFO 50 a lot. It'll probably be on my top 10 of this year pretty solidly, just because it's such a wild, unique, incredibly well done thing. I have probably 10 of these games in the collection that I really, really love. I really love Porgy, which is an underwater Metroidvania. I really love a ton of really great games in this. But it's only on PC right now. If you have a Steam Deck, UFO 50 is probably perfect for a Steam Deck, because none of these games are really any heavy lifting at all. They are very reminiscent of the kind of like ZX Spectrum, NES, like Genesis kind of era of games. But there's been talk about these game UFO 50 coming out on consoles next year. So like, how much time do I invest into this? I'm playing it through my Steam Link, which is great because I can play it on my TV. But like, how much time do I invest in these games now when I could potentially spend a lot of time digging into all of these games on consoles next year? So that's a little bit of what I'm struggling with here.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I love all of these games, and I don't think there's any games in here that I don't like. There've been a couple of games, especially like I think it was Aviantis, which is like a grid-based European dinosaur-based board game that is very complex. It's very cool, but it's also like, okay, I need to stick with this to figure out its kind of its gameplay and its rules here. So I'm really enjoying UFO 50. I'm really enjoying both of these games, especially because it's really, I feel like if you're going to make a collection of games like this, you usually don't see RPGs because they are complicated to develop for. They are long. Even the Valbrace seems like it's going to be on the longer side. Nevertheless, Grimstone. So it's nice to see. And there's also another one as well. Oh, I wish I remembered the title of this. It's essentially it's another turn-based RPG. When you're on the world map, it's a lot like I never remember which Ninja Turtles game on the NES had the that horribly like child scarring dam level where you're swimming to defuse the bombs. I feel like every one of us has some memory of that. It is like that, but then when you get into the battle system, it's it is basically a Phantasy Star. But it's like this underwater kind of area. I've spent very little time with that because that also seems tough as nails in a way that either it's really hard or I'm completely misunderstanding the battle system. I'm not sure. But UFO 50 is super, super cool. I haven't had a lot of time to play a lot of RPGs this month, but so far those two games I think are pretty cool. Check out UFO 50. I think with 50 games, I think you're going to find something in there that is pretty cool. And if you're lucky enough to have a Steam Deck, that seems like a pretty perfect place to play a lot of this stuff. So,
Yeah, that sounds like an awesome concept and execution.
yeah, it's really cool. And that's not to say one of my favorite games in that collection is called Mini and Max. You're a kid that gets locked in this storage room because her sister is going to go have a party, and you realize that you have the power to shrink yourself smaller. And so it turns out to be a Metroidvania that takes place on one screen, but every time you shrink down, you're like, there might be a really tiny train set there, but as soon as you shrink down, the train set is about 10 times bigger than you are, and you're platforming on top of it. So
Oh, that's awesome.
it's cool to be like growing in and out of all of this stuff. There's so many incredibly cool, really unique games in UFO 50. So almost none of them are RPGs, but I highly recommend that whole collection. It's really, really cool. That's all I'm playing this month. Let's get into releases here real quick, though, because we have a lot of them. First up is Diablo 4 Vessel of Hatred. Comes out PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and PC. That's out right now. That came out on the 8th. This is the first proper expansion for Diablo 4. There's a brand new area. There's a brand new class, the Spiritborn class. You can recruit mercenaries now that help you in combat, kind of like the Diablo 3 ones, which is a feature that I was sorely missing in Diablo 4 because they're one of my favorite parts of Diablo 3. And I don't know about you, but I have not checked back in with Diablo 4 for a number of months. And looking at some of this stuff, it's like, yeah, we redid the Paragon system. Yeah, we've got Torment difficulties in now. We've got all this pretty incredible stuff that you really wanted to be in here. So, seems like a different game now.
Cool.
Yeah.
I feel like Blizzard does that a lot.
Yeah, I loved Diablo 3 for a really long time. I would probably still play Diablo 3 now if push comes to shove. But I'm really happy to see that Diablo 4 is kind of getting a little bit closer to what I liked in Diablo 3. So I'll probably check this out at some point, maybe next year. But there's just too much stuff out right now for me to kind of dive into a Diablo game right now.
Yeah.
So. Next game here is Sky Ocean's Wings for Hire. That's out right now on PS5, Series consoles, Switch, and PC. They wanted to make a Skies of Arcadia game, and they kind of did in a really interesting way. We talk about this a lot on TVGP of the I'm going to do it myself genre of games of like, all right, Nintendo's not putting out a Star Fox, I'm going to do it myself. No one's putting out a Jet Set Radio Future game. I'm doing that myself. And this is very much all right, you guys aren't making another Skies of Arcadia and you haven't even remastered it or anything. I'm going to do that myself. And they very much did. And all of their press stuff is, hey, we love Skies of Arcadia and we wanted to make one of those. So here you go. It's got the turn-based dogfights and it's a Blue Sky game. There you go. So that game seems really cool. That's Sky Ocean's Wings for Hire. I haven't seen too many reviews of it yet, I think because of Metaphor. I don't think a lot of places are putting out a lot of release or other reviews at the moment, but that game looks cool. That's on my short list here. So next up is Metaphor ReFantazio, PS4, PS5, Series consoles, and PC. It's out right now. We just spent, I don't know how long, 30 minutes talking about that a little bit ago. So if you missed that, rewind the episode. Wildermyth comes out on the 22nd here. PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series consoles, and Switch. This came out on PC about 3 years ago. People really loved this game. It's a character-driven, procedurally generated tactical RPG. And people seemed to really dig, hey, I'm going to make my characters and I'm going to kind of generate my story and kind of treat it like, I think how a lot of people treat tabletop stuff of like, here's my character, here's my decisions, here's the stuff I'm going to do. And here's the story that we're going to go through, kind of presented in a, almost like a pop-up book sort of style in a way that I think is really pretty neat. So I had heard of this over the last couple of years of people being like, hey, you need to check this thing out. This thing is, Wildermyth is really cool. But maybe this is the chance for me to kind of check it out. I haven't played a grid-based tactics game here in a little while, so could be something to check out. So
yeah,
that's Wildermyth coming out on the 22nd. 2 days later, coming out Romancing Saga 2: Revenge of the Seven on the 24th. PS4, PS5, Switch, and PC. Square Enix is doing a full remake of Romancing Saga 2, which didn't come out here. That was a Super Famicom game. I don't think I played Romancing Saga 2, even though I'm 99% sure that got a Super Famicom fan translation. Did you ever check out this game back in the day?
I don't think I've ever played a Saga game.
Yeah.
Is Romancing Saga the same as Saga?
I think it's a spin-off. I don't think it's been my impression that it's not as punishing or obtuse as some of the Saga games are. Maybe I'm totally wrong, but part of the reason why I like and part of the reason why people hate the Saga games is they are very challenging, and they are, like we were talking about with UFO 50. A lot of the Saga games are just gonna be like, you got to figure it out, man. Like you need to get in here and just start getting scrappy. We're gonna figure it out together. But yeah, I don't think I played these before. A lot of people are very excited for this remake. I think partially because we never got the original one here, but also because people seem to really like this game. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm gonna put this on my I have a list every year called cool games I don't have time for but I can't forget about. That this is definitely going to go on that list as well, of just like, all right, probably nobody's going to be talking about this game in a couple of months anyways, because Square doesn't promote any of their remakes very heavily in general, unless it starts with Final Fantasy VII. So this seems pretty neat, and I'm hoping this reviews well. A game I know I like already, and hopefully will be running well on the platform. Yakuza Kiwami comes out on the Switch on the 24th of this month. Still kind of surprised and maybe a little bit bummed that they're not starting with Yakuza 0. I don't know why they're starting with Kiwami. Kiwami's great. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a remake of the first game. They did a really great job. It's a great game. But 0 is so good, and it's such a good introduction to the Yakuza games that I'm kind of surprised they didn't start with that, but it's fine. Um, my hope for this is, it wasn't exactly pushing the PS4's horsepower here when the remake came out. So hopefully it runs really well on Switch. If you've been interested in the Yakuza games, this is a really great place to start because Kiwami is a remake of the first one. So it's kind of the if you can't play Zero, it's a really great place to start with the original ones. So uh, hopefully it runs well, and if you're checking it out, hopefully you enjoy it. Next game here, Life is Strange Double Exposure comes out on the 29th, PS5, Series consoles, and PC. Um,
Woo!
I know it's not an RPG, but Misuma and I both really like these games, and we talk about RPG adjacent stuff here, or sort of um, undercovered genres. We talk about visual novels, we talk about your kind of modern point and click adventure games, which Life is Strange started out as, and I feel like it's sort of veering further away from as it goes. Not to its detriment. Like True Colors is an incredible game. If you haven't played any Life is Strange games, either start with the first one or play True Colors. Both of them are really great. But this is a direct sequel to Life is Strange 1 and kind of the Before the Storm sort of stuff, featuring Max Caulfield again, the time traveling, time bendy lady from the first one, which taking place seemingly a couple of years after the end of the first one. I can't be more excited about this game.
I'm like I've kind of gone media dead on it. Like when I
Yeah,
heard they were bringing Max back, like I was filled with like fear and excitement.
right,
Like
right.
it's a oh gosh, are they doing the wrong thing? They haven't done this before. But also it's Deck Nine who made I'm sorry to Don't Nod, but they made the best Life is Strange game,
Yeah,
in True Colors, and I am excited to see what this game is and
yeah.
how it plays and how it's going to destroy my heart.
Yeah, and it's just like True Colors, where it has a number of episodes, but they are all available as just the package. They're not doing the like one a month sort of thing.
Yeah,
I think anybody making these games a while ago sort of figured out like people really love having the episodes of all right, I'm going to play an episode, okay, that one's done, I can kind of take a break for a little bit. I have kind of a natural breaking point, but the waiting for a month and then the game slips and then it gets delayed a little bit, like that wasn't really fun for anybody.
yeah,
um, but yeah, I'm with you. Deck Nine makes incredible Life is Strange games. They also made Before the Storm, if I remember correctly, which
yeah.
is really good, and not enough people played it. And like you said, True Colors is the best Life is Strange game. It's not
Yeah.
super depressing like Life is Strange 2. Oof. Um,
I man, that's what makes me afraid to play like Don't Nod's other not
mhm,
Life is Strange games is just how
right.
depressing they made too. I'm like
Yeah.
you guys got to balance it. Like I need some hope in there. Like you can make it pretty crushing, but just give me something
Yeah.
to hold on to.
Yeah, give me a
And
little something. Yeah. Yeah, so that's coming out on the 29th. Also coming out on the 31st is Dragon Age The Veilguard, which I keep forgetting there's a the in there. Comes out PS5, Series consoles, and PC. Um, I have been, I think I feel like we've been talking about the next Dragon Age. It was Dreadwolf for a really long time. Talking about
yeah,
this game for seemingly the entire life of this show. And we're on episode 159 of a monthly show. Um, I feel like we've been talking about it for a really long time, and I still kind of don't believe that this game is going to be coming out or is going to be here. Um, I They put out a trailer when they announced the release date for this a couple of months ago, and it looked really bad in a way that was very concerning. They put out a series of trailers since then that look really good and make me wonder why they put out that first trailer. I'm not entirely sure. Um, but I am cautiously optimistic for everything that they're showing and saying about this game. because I liked Inquisition a lot.
I
Go ahead.
I adore Dragon Age.
Yeah,
Like,
ditto.
even Dragon Age 2 had a lot of issues, but like when I think of replaying any Dragon Age, I have to replay them all. And 2 still has a lot of good stuff in it.
I like two a lot. It's a very cool game. It has, like you said, has a lot of problems, but it's a very cool
Yeah.
game.
The I think all of my hesitation on Veilguard has to do with BioWare itself.
Yeah, like the current state of
Yeah.
Bioware. Yeah,
And like there's part of me that is really hopeful for it because I feel like BioWare has to know the position they're in. They're owned
yeah,
by a company who really has no qualms about shutting down studios,
yeah.
despite making legendary games.
Mm-hmm.
And BioWare has not had a hit in a long time.
Right,
They've been coasting off of re-releases of Mass Effect for a
right.
long time,
Yep,
and I love Mass Effect. It will always be one of, if not my favorite trilogy game of all time. But um, I don't know,
they're
man.
in a rough spot.
I don't know. I This is one where I'm at financially and in life and time wise. I'm not going to buy it till I have time to play it, and
Mm,
I'm not going to play it unless the right people say the right things about it.
right.
So like, and granted, a lot of people could dislike it, but still say the right things about it to get me to play it.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's as I said earlier, I'll be playing Metaphor for probably the next 2 or 3 months,
Right.
and some Life is Strange in there, and whatever the Game Club games are, and then
Yeah.
after that, if it's either Dragon Age or Unicorn Overlord, and I really want to play
Mm,
Unicorn Overlord, but man, if the hype is right for Dragon Age, I will
sure.
freaking play it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out. I would like to buy this, not day and date. I'm not going to pre-order it because I feel like that will definitely bite me. But I love the Dragon Age games so much, and I want to see the next place these games are going to go, especially after the ending of Inquisition. I did read
Yeah,
a preview recently about there's only going to be 4 decisions you get to make at the beginning of Veilguard. You can't carry over your save from Inquisition, and a lot of it is like, did you, you know, decide to shut down the Inquisition or not? That sort of stuff, like really big world
yeah.
decisions. So I don't know. I'm hoping this reviews well. I hope this does well for a BioWare that is totally different from even Inquisition, nevertheless, the first Dragon Age game.
Yeah.
But I really hope this does well, and I could potentially pick this up pretty quickly if the the chatter's right. Even if it doesn't
Yeah.
review well, I do like quote unquote bad games. So if it reviews poorly in the right way, which I know sounds a little bit crazy, I could still be pretty interested in this game.
I,
So
that's a good point. Like, even if it reviews poorly, whenever it hits 20 or $30, I'm probably going to get it and try it.
yeah, someone
Uh,
said something online about the Saga games actually, because the last Saga game that came out reviewed. It was either like a 10 out of 10 best game of the year, or it was like a 3 out of 10 because you just don't click with it. Like there's no real middle ground.
yeah.
And Saga games are always going to be what they are. They're always very similar. They always have the same kind of design thing. And someone said like it's essentially you can't get too mad about opening a present when someone just wrapped a bicycle. Like you can tell what it is before you open it. Like it's someone just put wrapping paper on a bike. That's the only thing that's that shape. So it's kind of like if people come out and they review the Veilguard and they say like 5 out of 10, it's just another Dragon Age game, and I'm like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
hello, all right, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, let's purchase that thing. Like so that
To say that's a sales point
yeah,
right there.
exactly.
Like,
So when I'm saying like if it reviews poorly in the right way, if people are like, it's another garbage Dragon Age game, it's just like Inquisition 2, and I'm like, oh, hello, hi, that's for
yeah.
me. Let's do this thing. So we'll see. We'll see. The
Oh,
reviews are going to be coming out here, and it's probably 2 weeks or so. This seems like a pretty big game for BioWare, so I expect some last minute previews and probably some early reviews coming out of this thing
Yeah.
So
Like I feel like I've mainly seen cinematics on it, but I really haven't been paying attention. I just figure I'm going to wait, and if people like you or someone like gives it the right review,
right,
then then I'm in.
yeah,
But I gotta beat Metaphor first, and that's
yeah. Metaphor is like at least 75 hours of
yeah,
just really great JRPG for you to keep cooking
yeah,
through. Yeah.
yeah,
Last game here on the list, RPG ish adjacent. Horizon Zero Dawn Remastered comes out on PS5 and PC on the 31st. I Not since some of Sony's other Last of Us remakes and remasters have I seen a game that less needed a remaster than Horizon Zero Dawn, a game that came out 7 years ago and I'm fairly sure, got a PS5 patch and looked really good still.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
Horizon Zero
Uh,
Dawn is really great. I love both of these games. Musum and I have talked about both of these games for quite a while. We did a really great spoiler cast for Forbidden West over at TVGP. That one turned out really great. Um, this game's a little bit odd because they have taken Zero Dawn and put it into the Forbidden West engine, so Aloy looks different from how she did in Zero Dawn. I'm not one of these like online weirdos about like I can't believe they DEI, whatever the Nazis are complaining about now. I'm not one of those people. It's not going to destroy the game for sure, but it's one of those things of like, oh yeah, everyone kind of looks a little different. Like sure, it looks great, but like everything looks a little bit off. But if you
yeah.
haven't played this game, it's really good, and I would wholly, especially if no one has talked about the story with you, I really recommend playing Zero
Yeah.
Dawn. It's very cool. So
I'll tell you the next Horizon game I'll probably play is that Lego one though.
I have that pre-ordered already. I'm super excited for. They're calling it like Horizon Lego Adventures, Lego Horizon Adventure, something like that. It's like a mishmash of those words, and
Yeah.
it looks it looks really fun, and it looks Ashley Birch doing like a fun Aloy in that
Yeah.
game looks really fun, and the trailer they just put out is like whatever whatever your camp is in like the first one, whatever they're like the big town. You can just build a roller coaster in there. Whee! And I'm just like, all right, yeah, okay, yep, you got me, sure. So
Yeah.
I'm very
Hope they
excited for that. That comes out in November, something, end of November, I
yeah.
think.
I really hope they bring out some more Horizon Lego sets because that tall neck was pretty fun to put together.
Yeah, I still have my Lego tall neck over here. Tall necks are like one of my favorite video game
Yeah.
creatures, like robots, of all time, and I need to I need more of those Lego sets.
Crap. You know what I just realized that
Hmm.
Sony and Gorilla's gonna do to us
Hmm.
is the next big Horizon game is going to work substantially better on the stupid $700 PS5.
Yeah, probably. Thankfully, that's a ways off because the next game that they're talking about making is a multiplayer Horizon game, which I'm not interested in at all. I don't.
Yeah.
No, thank you. That's not
Well,
not what I'm here for.
as long as they don't completely take the Bethesda route of just never doing what I want them to ever again,
Right.
then
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah.
okay. Well, maybe it'll be a PS6 thing, and I won't have to
That's
waste.
right. Yeah, we'll pay $800 for the next console. It'll be a little bit easier to swallow. All right, that's all of the games we've been playing. All the releases coming out. We don't really have any super big news stories here. Anything that's super RPG focused. So we're just gonna wrap it up. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. If you'd like to visit us, you can do so at pickingupthepixels.com. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right hand side of the page. Musim, where can we find you online?
So you can find me on my link tree, but real quick, I want to plug a record I made.
Oh yes, please do.
Me and my friend Mike got 12 Tulsa electronic bands and
Got
put together a
got something
vinyl.
right here
Yeah,
on the video version.
yeah. Neon purple 180 gram vinyl.
It's a very nice
And
record.
And I'm trying not to toot my own horn, but man, everyone turned in their A game for songs on this thing. It's a little pricey because it cost us a lot of money to do.
It's
Like
a
we have,
boutique print run.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it is what it is. We don't really have a profit margin on this first run,
Right.
but you can get it right now at Bandcamp. We printed 100 vinyls. We have, I think, 20-ish of them left at this point. And they're gonna go. But you can get them on the Bandcamp, which is Intermix, Intermix 66, like the numbers, like Route 66. .bandcamp.com. That's intermix66.bandcamp.com. You can also find a link to this on my link tree, which
Mm.
is linktr.ee/John Musim. It is John with an H and Musim.
And
Uh,
you actually have a new music video out as well for your song on that
ooh,
collection. So you should go check that out. That's a cool music video. That's a cool song.
thank you,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you. That was
a very fun video.
yeah. We did like a test video for like an older song earlier this year, just to kind of get our feet wet. And
Mm.
I just like the guy I made the video game with Solos years ago. Like
Oh
is
yeah.
my collaborator on that. He always wants to do video stuff, and he's doing some other like 6-minute video I'm going to do the soundtrack for too. But
Oh nice.
yeah, you can see that video on my YouTube that I think is just John Musim. It's on it'll be on
It's
the
on your link
page.
tree either way. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, go check that stuff out. It's right now it's just on Bandcamp. We're going to do a listening party on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central, so you can hear the whole thing.
Nice.
Because I think I have the Bandcamp limited to 3 streams free a day.
Mm.
Um, but it will hit the rest of the streaming sites hopefully October 21st. CD Baby is pushing back against one of the band names.
Mm.
So, assuming that does not cause any delay, it will be out then. But either way, it's on Bandcamp right now,
Yeah.
and the
Go check it out.
vinyl is awesome. So,
Yeah, and there's a digital purchase over there as well if you don't want to pick up the vinyl.
oh, yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. You can find all my links campsite.bio/Jansten, Jansten. Also put a plug in here, speaking of Destiny. DestinyEmblemCollector.com. It's my website over there. I'm well over 1,000 emblems tracked on the site right now. If you've ever wanted to know, hey, where's that cool emblem come from? Got all the info over there. DestinyEmblemCollector.com. I think that's it. So we'll see you all next month. Bye.
Bye.